It's called Uh-Oh. That's a really good start right there. Uh-Oh. 100 layoffs, Activision's rising influence. Okay. See what this is. Uh-oh. Just a second here. Are we good? Yeah, we're good. Okay.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to the World of Warcraft video. Well, out of the frying pan and into the fire. This is going to be a fun one. You know, it's funny. I'm almost overconscious that this video can, you know, sort of set the tone for the year, and I really don't want it to be like that. So here's the deal. Just before we all broke for the holidays, Blizzard unveiled a really manipulative business practice that is...
Oh, there it is, boys. There it is. Hey, guys, they're going away, but they might come back. But they're going away, so you've got to buy them now. Okay.
Straight out of Mickey Mouse's playbook. Now, we then also began to see a bunch of the Activision-directed cost-cutting, along with a fresh report that gave us more background, and of course, often...
Blizzard customer service concern is staff accept cash to exit Irish hub. I don't fully understand that. I'm not going to really make a comment on that.
Companies, they choose to release bad news just before a major holiday or a big event.
With Activision's
and that's a classic move because, yeah, the bad news is still going to sting, but people are going to be busy with other things. They're going to forget and all be back to normal. Well, while I technically was off work, I'm not letting Blizzard off the hook for this one. I think if this coming year for me was to have a theme, I think it would be honesty unpolished. As Blizzard begin to slip, it's just...
Honesty unpolished. That is a great fucking way to say it. Honesty unpolished. I like that a lot. That sounds good.
All the more important to just go directly in, just straightforward with them. But then equally, it's also important to not be carried away by any given narrative and be thrown in a direction. So I expect this will be a year both of strongly positive and strongly negative coverage, as really the company is just going from PR blunder to PR blunder. But while that's happening, BFA is poised for an 8-2 that, at least on paper, does seem to be going very much in the right direction. So
Belluar is trying to be positive because obviously the video has a negative slant, but let's be honest, it's kind of disappointing whenever the only time that he's going to smile in this video is number one, whenever he's sad, and number two, whenever he's talking about the fact that the expansion might be good a year after it comes out on its second major content patch. Like, why did people play it for the first year if you've got to wait that long for it to be good? I mean, like, give it a fucking break.
Let's kick off this extreme fun video with the Disney Vault, or sorry, should I say the Blizzard Archive, because yes, Blizzard Entertainment are emulating one of the most widely criticized business practices out there. Disney would do this thing where they'd release their content for a few years after cinemas, and then they'd cease production, and they'd just halt releases for a number of years, only to then come out with a special edition re-release. And this practice would allow them to create artificial scarcity and additional sale events, and this is all at the expense of the customer's convenience. No wonder people would want to pirate their content, because after all, piracy is a symptom of a service problem. Now, Blizzard's mounts...
I think that's partially true, but another thing that piracy is a symptom of is not wanting to spend money. So let me give you two different scenarios. Number one, you buy The Lion King. It's $24. Number two, you download The Lion King, it's free. There's a lot of people that don't just have $24 to throw around on The Lion King, and they're just going to download it for free. I think that companies and products and services that transcend piracy like Spotify are incredible. And whenever you think about the fact that Spotify is so good that many people stopped pirating content. They actually went from not paying for a service to paying for a service that they were already able to get for free because it was so good. I think Belluar is partially right, but there is a component to it that people just don't want to spend money.
Sale for the winter has done something very similar, but it's so on the nose it beggars belief. So the See You Later bundle features a number of store mounts, pets, and 3 transmog helms. Now, bundles have existed in the past, but, well, the difference is that these are all being removed from the store after the event. Now, remember that paying to unlock an item, well, it's an item that's already in the game. There is 0 cost to it being on the store. So why remove it? Well, you remove it to create artificial scarcity. To generate more purchases, because players might be afraid that it's their last chance to own these mounts. Now, look.
Let me show you guys how this used to work. Okay, this is a scam that I did back whenever I was 16. I've talked about this before, right? And it's creating artificial demand, which is the other way around, but it's a little bit it's pretty much the same thing. Like, let's say you have something you want to sell on the auction house. You want to sell this item, but nobody's buying it. So here's what you do: is you make a character, and you put the item on the auction house on one character, and then you make a second character, and then you type in trade chat that you want to buy the item for a price that's higher than you had listed the item for on the auction house. Some stupid fucking idiot that thinks he's smart is going to go into the auction house and buy your item and then try to sell it to you to make a quick buck. At that point, you just check on the auction house, you see if the auction is sold because you just search it again, and if it's sold, you log off and delete the character. Boom. There it is. Now, that's a scumbag move. But at the end of the day, you've got money in the bank. And that's why Blizzard's doing it.
All sales is a form of manipulation. Hell, most things are a form of manipulation, be it stated or be it overt.
Yep.
But sometimes the level of manipulation crosses a commonly agreed upon moral threshold. And often, that is a moral threshold that we legislate on. And, you know, we've made such things, some things illegal, such as, say, misleading customers. Now, this means that often companies need to have fine print. And, you know, that's great. We have the fine print. We know what's up. But the fine print of this bundle is just so funny because it's not even in, it's not in fine print. It is the footer of the announcement. So here's the quote. We're sending 9 of our Blizzard shop and in-game store items into hibernation on January 6th. But before they go, you can purchase a time-limited bundle and save even more. Items in the See You Later bundle may return to the Blizzard shop and in-game shop at some point in the future.
At some point.
It's so clear. I mean, wow. These mounts are, you know, they're going into hibernation, but for no other reason than to aid a sale pitch. Remember that these mounts cost nothing to have in the store. It's not even like you download a file when you purchase them. The file's already on your computer. Now, when a new store mount is released, it gets a special feature on the store. So it's not like these old mounts are taking up that much visual space or taking away from the new mounts on the store. The reasoning behind this becomes even more apparent once you look at the mount ownership statistics. As for the, you know, the other stuff, it's a similar situation, but they're all
Yo, how much do you guys want to fucking bet that he saw this on my stream, dude? Look at this. Listen to what he's about to fucking say. Listen to this clown-ass garbage.
Old, and they don't hold up visually to Blizzard's modern work. It's clear that these things were just not selling well, and Blizzard have realized that while they are in the store, they're not shifting copies, so in a move to increase their perceived value, they've just made them artificially scarce. Chances are that barely anyone actually wants these mounts, but because of the sales event and the fear of never being able to have them again, that's just going to tip people over the edge.
And
now,
they're going to buy them.
They likely will plan on selling these again. Like, there's the legal disclaimer is there. It's not called the Goodbye Bundle. It's called the See You Later bundle. We'll see them later. Of that, I have little doubt. As the time on this promotion runs out...
I never even thought of that.
Please don't support this. If we reward these tactics by participating, we just encourage Blizzard to continue. And in a world where, you know, as we're going to see later in this video, in a world where stuff's a bit more controlled by the finance department, the last thing we should be doing is giving the finance department more ammunition. Now, look, I mentioned finances.
Very true.
So it's time to talk about the influence of Activision over Blizzard. Now, this comes once again from one of Jason Schreier's reports, which, you know, interesting. The first one was just his name was enough to make people throw it in the bin, which is kind of interesting because those people also seem to be the same people who are the harshest against Blizzard. Now, look, as I've said many times, his work is often very solid, especially his investigative work. Often,
I don't know anything
he does
about
make
that.
a bit of a tit out of himself on Twitter, that's for sure. But it's possible for someone to do both good and bad things. We shouldn't let those things cancel each other out. We shouldn't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Kotaku, yeah, they can publish a lot of trash, but they can also publish good things. So we need to take articles for, you know, what they are in isolation. And given what else we've heard, and the previous Blizzard article and all of the other investigative pieces.
We read that. I remember that
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, this stuff is fairly accurate. So even if you don't like the messenger, I think it's worth paying attention to the message.
That's a good point.
So the news broke via Eurogamer that Blizzard were expanding a voluntary redundancy program in their Irish offices, mainly affecting support staff. Now, the idea is that you get someone to leave of their own volition by essentially taking a deal. Now, for the staff, it's good because they get quick money, and that's brilliant if they want to make a career change, but they're also worried about their stability. For the company, it means that their least dedicated staff feel free to leave, and it means they don't have to lay people off, you know, non-voluntarily, and that
seems
can
like
be really
a win-win.
expensive. And of course, by having those people go, it decreases their monthly burn rate.
Yeah.
As a way of cutting costs, it's actually pretty great. And
yeah,
it is
that
very
doesn't seem bad.
but it's also a bit revealing. Now, if a company's in a severe financial situation, then, you know, layoffs may happen. But if a company is in a position where it basically is financially secure, but wants to tighten up its operation, that's when you'll see a program like this. So it does not mean the Blizzard are going out of business, but it does mean that yes, they are looking to cut their long-term costs in non-development areas. Now,
that's
this
obvious.
program called Career...
I mean, you look at it now, like, let's go ahead. I'm going to show something, okay? I got to put this person, I got to report this retard for spamming me. Okay, just a second. Let me show you guys something here, okay? Here, I'll turn this off. How do you put in a ticket nowadays? Like, you go in and you go to help, and let's see, knowledge base. All right, well, it doesn't even load, so that's a good start right here. We're going to pause this real quick. And we go and we look at, oh, these are just tickets that I put in. Let's see, character stuck. So there's no ticket here. Open a ticket. So let's try to open a ticket. Account. In-game issues. So items and mail. Let's see here. Item restoration. That just takes you directly over to a web page. Loot drop problem. Let's see. You can actually get a web ticket for that one. A loot drop problem. That's one. Mail return request. You can get a ticket for that one. And let's see. Weekly chest problem. You can get a ticket for that one. Now you go over to these, the quests and achievements. Stuck on a quest, it sends you over to Wowhead. That's the first thing. Problem with an achievement, go to Wowhead. And report a bug, probably, I don't know what that does. Character problem. Character undelete. Actually, you know what? Now that I see these are, this isn't as bad as I thought it was. Yeah, no, never mind. This isn't as bad as I thought it was. You know, like, I thought there were a lot more of these that were just like, they took you to just like these systems. It looks like they actually do have a lot of these. Oh, I guess there is that now. Appeal, name change, all that stuff. Yeah, I guess there are more tickets that you can post. I'll take that back. I take that back completely. It seems like, obviously, it doesn't seem like they are as transparently trying to remove interactions between GMs. Yeah, it was worse. Well, it's worse, right? But it's not as bad as I thought it was.
Crossroads has actually existed for years. The only thing that's new is they are offering it to a wider segment of staff, including more junior staff, and it seems to have had its financial benefits be increased. Now, this is all backed up by Jason's report, which again is sourced from many Blizzard employees. So, as we found out last time, Blizzard's new Activision transplant CFO told employees at an all-hands meeting that their big goal is to cut costs and shift more product. And this has resulted in the layoffs that I mentioned.
What are they going to say? I love it whenever they have these meetings and they're like, hey, our plan is we want to spend less money and save more money. That's what we're going to do. And so here's what we did. That's it, boys. It's like, what do you think they're going to come in there and say? They're like, oh, yeah, so we thought about, like, let's waste like 10% of our income this year on bullshit. Like, let's actually get a giraffe for the campus. So whenever people get bored during lunch, they can go look at the giraffe. And everybody's like, wow, that sounds awesome. Let's do that. And it's like, of course they're gonna make more stuff and save more money. The guy that doesn't come out and say that gets fucking fired.
earlier, as well as the scaling back of Heroes of the Storm development and the sudden axing of its esports plans which, seemingly as of BlizzCon this year, were poised to go ahead. And that does make me think that this very much is a transition period that is ramping up. Now, on that topic, Jason's sources report in...
Just want to say again, pulling the plug on Heroes of the Storm was a good decision by Blizzard. Okay? At a certain point, you have to realize that it's fucking dead. Stop injecting money into it and wasting everybody's fucking money. Pull the plug, it's done. I know all these people, now that Heroes of the Storm, they ended Heroes of the Storm, they're acting like, oh, that was my favorite game. No, it wasn't, you fucking idiot. You only played it to get the mount for WoW. You never liked the game. Most people didn't like the game. They brought the game out at the wrong time, in the wrong market, in the wrong way. It was the wrong game. Period. Some people enjoyed the game. But don't pretend. It's like whenever somebody fucking dies. You know, whenever somebody fucking dies, this is what I hate. Everyone talks about how great they were. Some people die, and they were a piece of shit. And it's okay to say that. You don't have to pretend like, oh, you know, this was my best friend. I cared about this person so much. No. At a certain point, sometimes bad decisions are made for a good reason. Sometimes bad things happen for a good reason. And that, no, it's not, hopefully it's not going to be the hurricane situation, okay, guys? Give it a break, all right? I'm not going to get, I don't think I'll get in trouble for that one. I don't know, it's like really annoying, because like somebody will die in like a high school or something like that, and this happened like in my high school, and everybody acts like they knew this person. It's like, I know these people, like they didn't know them. You didn't even like this guy, but you're just acting like you knew them and you like them because it's going to get you sympathy and you want this for like some sort of fucking, you know, point system to make you feel righteous and good. Give it a fucking break. It's so annoying. And the same thing happens, I think, with Heroes of the Storm. Heroes of the Storm died. Everybody acts like Blizzard's the bad guy and they made the wrong decision. Blizzard, good job. Did it suck that you made a lot of people lose their job? Yeah, it did. Could you have done that better? Probably, yeah. But overall, it was the right decision. Virtue signaling. Exactly. I don't like using that word because it's very charged, but what is a better example of it than that?
Internal rumors of layoffs in the new year. Now, that's interesting because layoffs being, you know, talked about in this way, that doesn't seem voluntarily, like it's a voluntary thing, like in the Cork office. So, yeah, okay. What we see is non-development roles being axed while they try to hire more development roles. They're cutting...
They didn't lose their job. They moved developers to other projects. No, they moved them to the project of applying to unemployment. Like that's the project. Yeah, you're right. They did get moved to another project. They went from project working at Blizzard to project applying for unemployment. There it is. You're right.
Costs, they're shifting more product. It's pretty clear that with Morheim out of the way and more Activision influence, they are just trying to tighten up their operation. Now, what does this mean for games, the developers at Blizzard, and BFA? Well, in Jason's most recent report, 3 sources talked about how the finance department has more power within Blizzard than ever. One source said that their people are now attending more meetings, especially meetings that they would not have previously been involved in. So it seems systematically that this is indicating that the finance team is being more integrated with lower and lower level decisions at Blizzard. Now, if that seems like a bit of a worrying thing, then I think you should really listen to the next source. So, here's the quote. A lot of decisions now are being driven by business folks, marketing and finance folks.
Okay.
There's a real struggle now between developers and the business people. Strategic decisions are being driven by the finance group. And that's the worrying bit. Strategy. That's the long-term vision of the company. That's the direction that the ship is sailing in. You know, this is affecting things such as...
I just want to say one thing. This is exactly what the Steve Jobs video said. That is literally exactly what the Steve Jobs video said. And it's not a surprise. At all.
the scope of a game. Not only the resources that can be allocated to a given project, but the actual likely design of a project itself such that it would require fewer resources. Now it's time to talk about the 80-20 principle. Generally, it asserts that 80% of the result comes from 20% of the work. And
that's why I only
part,
put in 20%.
Here's an example. With my time, I might spend 70 hours a week working on the channel. Maybe only
20%
or 10 of those are actually
you
spent
pass
writing.
Anyway, everything's
and ultimately, writing is the single most important thing that I do for the channel. Another way of framing the 80-20 principle is saying that perfection is the enemy of just good enough. It's the idea that at a certain point, working on something just doesn't make sense. You should just launch it out there and move on.
That's true.
Now, these are principles that personally I live my life by, but they have their dangers. And I feel that I can make those calls because I intimately understand every aspect of what I'm doing with this channel and just in general, and why people watch my content. But moving back to Blizzard, well, if a developer is appraising their game, they'll be able to decently tell when they put enough work into something that they can put it out the door, to work out where those diminishing returns are for doing further work. But here's the problem. A developer who has great understanding of their game can do that. But if that appraisal is being done by people who are above the developer and are not in a development role and don't really have that great of an understanding of the game, they're going to struggle to make as good a call in that situation. Essentially, finance people having too much control over the game design strategies of Blizzard is very likely not going to be good for the quality of their games. Now, I'm sure you've ran into the video of Steve Jobs talking about John Scully's disastrous tenure at Apple, and yeah, I think it is actually
hey, how about that
video. It's worth listening to.
Wow.
So let's roll it.
John came from PepsiCo, and they at most would change their product, once every 10 years. I mean, to them, a new product was like a new size bottle, right?
Oh, yeah.
So if you were a product person, you couldn't change the course of that company very much. So who influenced the success of PepsiCo? The sales and marketing people. Therefore, they were the ones that got promoted, and therefore they were the ones that ran the company. Well, for PepsiCo, that might have been okay, but it turns out the same thing can happen in technology companies that get monopolies, like, IBM and Xerox. If you were a
how many other MMOs are there?
Product person at IBM or Xerox, so you make a better copy or a better computer. So what? When you have a monopoly market share, the company's not any more successful. So the people that can make the company more successful are sales and marketing people. And they end up running the companies. And the product people get driven out of the decision-making forums. And the companies forget what it means to make great products. Sort of the product sensibility and the product genius that brought them to that monopolistic position gets rotted out by people running these companies who have no conception of a good product versus a bad product. They have no conception of the craftsmanship that's required to take a good idea and turn it into a good product. And they really have no feeling in their hearts, usually, about wanting to really help the customers.
So that's talking about Apple and Pepsi, but as applied to gaming, my worry is that the developer's first goal is to create something that's fun and that's engaging. They're going to design that from first principles, guided by an understanding of their players' emotional experience and how that drives them to play the game more. When the marketing types are driving these decisions, well, they want to also create something that's fun and engaging. They're not actually demon vampire people.
Well, it engages people's wallets.
They're going to go and look at old numbers, and they're going to work out what the most cost-effective way is based on what has previously worked. And that's really the crux of it. Creatives make new numbers. Business people follow old numbers. As the business gets more involved, we're likely going to see a decrease in innovation and an increase in content that's strongly following the 80-20 principle, but with that 80-20 analysis maybe not being done by people, well, maybe by people who don't know the 80 from the 20.
Is BFA a good example of the 80-20 rule? I would say so. It seems like 80% of the game was done.
That's the struggle that Blizzard's developers face, and if they're not careful, the company's going to lose its unique status within the industry. Just look at Activision. They streamlined their business to be a small number of IPs. Large segments of their revenue come from something like, say, Destiny 2. And if those franchises, if any of that small number of franchises that they have start to struggle, you're going to see a big hit on the company. Now, I don't exactly want to bring in stocks at the minute, because like especially if you look at say the FANG stocks, they've all went down. The markets
we've seen all of this.
So as much as we can say, look at Activision Blizzard, it's trading at 50% of its value. It is also worth bearing in mind that, I mean, we seem to be in a bear market, put it that way. So definitely that should be something to take with a pinch of salt.
That means that there's bears in the market.
That's really the point here. With this video, I know it's like one of the first ones of the new year. It's when we all want to feel happy about the future and all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, when I see Blizzard do something like the Blizzard Vault, I can't not talk about that. You know, if I admit that, I feel like I'm doing I just feel like I'm doing everyone wrong. So yeah, there you go. I guess a pretty hardcore video, right? Hopefully stuff like this won't happen as much in the future. I wish I could say that I thought that was likely. I don't really think I do. I'm generally quite worried right now about where things are going to go. One thing I do know for sure, it's going to be an interesting year to follow Blizzard, to do coverage for them. There's going to be a lot to talk about. I think my worry is that it's going to be the stuff that I feel compelled to talk about because I think it's a problem, and not the stuff that I feel compelled to talk about because it's like passionate and exciting, and that's ideally what this channel exists for. So let me know what you think about all this stuff down in those comments. As much as this is a bit odd, I hope you're...
There it is. I mean, like, that's basically the way that I think a lot of people have been seeing the game go. I mean, let's be honest, I think everybody's expected this, everybody has thought this. This is all the way it's been for quite a while, and I didn't get the fucking mount. I hate Blizzard. So basically, like, I don't know, that's the way that I feel about it, okay, is that, like, this video is obviously really good. I completely agree with almost everything that he was saying, and I'm not surprised that so many people that are working at Blizzard are kind of speaking out about it because they're frustrated about what's happening. And I don't really know, like, kind of if this is ever going to change or any of that kind of stuff. F camera? Man, why does nothing ever work, man? Like, I don't understand, like, why nothing works, like, ever. This is so annoying.